of the Livingston Parish Ordinance Committee for Tuesday, October 6th, 6 p.m. Ms. Lauren, would you call the roll?
Mr. Mack?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Talbot?
Here.
Mr. Gurley?
Mr. Girlinghouse isn't here. His mother is still ill, and so he's looking after her. New business. 2, discussion of small wireless facilities. I know y'all, I don't know if y'all are aware, 5G is the new up and coming thing. These small towers that exist, I was approached over last week by, actually before our last ordinance committee meeting, by AT&T. They brought us some information with other parishes' ordinances and ordinance basically that kind of addresses Livingston Parish and the expansion of 5G within the parish. We have an ordinance that addresses cell towers and stuff like that. We don't have an ordinance to address these small towers, small wireless facilities. So we gave Chris Moody the ordinance, and he looked over it, and he basically said grace over it. There's some fee schedules in here with respect to permitting and stuff. Those are set forth by the FCC. So
You got the answer.
I got all the answers on that stuff. So it's pretty much a pretty standard ordinance. I think there is we were given an ordinance on another parish, and I think we made some comparisons. There was some difference in definitions because they're a police jury instead of a home rule charter. Their permit departments and things were structured differently, but other than that, I think the basic ordinance is the same. Y'all have it in front of y'all. It basically, as AT&T put forth, they have done this in Orleans, Jefferson, Lafayette, EBR, Calcasieu, Bossier, Rapides. Anyway, basically, they're moving from larger parishes to smaller parishes. They've approached us because they have money in the budget to move forward. The sooner you get ordinance in place to move forward on this, the sooner they're able to come in. It'll help. We've got some broadband issues or internet issues in certain areas of the parish. 5G, putting these mini towers up is way more cost effective than the running of fiber optics. They utilize existing poles when they can, and they can in most places. Anyway, they've given us this thing. Parish attorney said grace over it. Y'all got it in front of you. Are there any questions that any of y'all have with respect to this ordinance? I mean, it basically, it doesn't really circumvent anything in our laws. It just defines, how the process goes, how they permit every tower. Go ahead.
I was doing the shame. So.
No, they permit every tower. There's a renewal fee for use in our servitude. They're using our existing
So this
servitude.
isn't just for AT&T. This would apply to
It
anybody that brings it in.
It would apply to all of them.
Okay.
AT&T is the one that's looking
to get it done
to
first.
come into our parish first. So they're the ones that brought it to us. Of course, I told them that I was only going to back it if they improve the cell service in Watson. And those residents from Watson know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you're in North Watson.
Is that can you get AT&T, is that
So what you're saying is instead of like on our road,
You guys come up here.
on our road on Clinton
No,
Island, we
What's your
have,
name and address, please, for the record? That's okay. Come up.
My name's Bobby Jo Garion, and my address is 33865 Clinton Allen Road, Denham Springs, 70706. We have fiber optics on Clinton Allen. They did it about 2-3 years ago. Everything is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is instead of them this is something new that I've heard of. So instead of doing that, they will have smaller towers, or people will be able to run it from their phone?
Well,
Because
5G, basically, the operation of 5G compared to 3G and 4G cell service, they required large towers. 5G operates at a lower elevation. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're basically a little, like, got existing telephone poles, a little pole that sticks
I
off about
know
3
what you're
feet
talking
with a little dome looking thing on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows them to, 5G's way easier and cheaper to install because you don't have to secure a big piece of property and erect a big old tower. And so it's more cost effective. And if you've been in an area that has 5G or ever operated, it's tremendously fast. It's just a way to operate. You know, I don't know if you've have any hotspots.
Yeah.
I got a hotspot because, you know, we go to areas that doesn't have cell, internet. And so basically those areas of the parish, it's an area that we've been struggling with trying to get, you know, internet service to certain areas and because of the investment, you know, it's the cable companies just aren't interested because there's no effective return on their money. This is a way that would be way more cost effective to grow into those areas. Now, of course, like anything, AT&T is gonna start off in the more densely populated areas and move that way. But it's gonna be more cost effective to put these 5G towers up, the little mini things, versus laying fiber optics. I'm not saying that it's gonna, you know, eliminate fiber optics, but it's a way to get to rural areas. You know, electricity, you know, Demco will run a line 3 miles down a dead end road in the woods to get to your house because they're mandated to do that. The cable companies don't, you know, the same thing doesn't exist, so there are people that, you know, live out in the country that have no access to internet. And so there's really no way for them to get it other than, you know, if they can pick it up in a cell situation. So this is an opportunity for, you know, the parish, these areas that we have that struggle with internet to get a better internet service. That's just one of the benefits. I mean, 5G is the way things are going.
Right.
I don't know if any of y'all got, I've probably got the iPhone I have now it's like, when they start looking at some of these new updates, it's like, if you've got the one below me, then you're out of luck. So, you know, I'm kind of at the bottom of the totem pole on that technology thing, but the same thing's gonna happen, you know, as technology increases, if you're not able to have 5G, you're not gonna have, you know, some of that service. So we're just trying to bring the parish up to the standard that exists throughout, you know, the country and other areas. And we did not have a way for them to permit these small cell towers, and this ordinance is to allow this in our parish.
I think
Thank
it's a
you.
no-brainer. If we need to do that, I'll motion that we send this to the council.
Yeah, I looked into it. It's a better way to expand broadband, basically, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, and over time, those huge towers will come down and you'll just have small, they won't have the big.
In the right of way, yeah.
Okay, so we got a motion to make a positive
Second.
recommendation to the whole council that we introduced next Thursday night.
I'll
Got a
second.
second by Mr. Mack. There being no objection,
Nope.
we're gonna send that forward to the council, Thursday night with a positive, recommendation. Item 2 on the agenda, which I think is why everybody's here.
Yep.
Old business, review, discussion, and recommendation of ordinance. Discussion of section 50-13 littering. We've got some people from the chamber, we've got some constables, and JT's here that this is kinda gonna address
Leadership.
their stuff, and some leadership people, which is part of the chamber, or a program of the chamber. Anyway, we have taken our ordinance, and the young ladies have amended it, to basically kind of mirror state law. And I guess how I'm gonna get to how we got to this point is Scooter had a concern about littering, and we know that the chamber's done Livingston, the Love LP program, and they've made a presentation to us before. Scooter put it on the agenda and brought it to the forefront, in an effort to, while we were looking at it, state law allows for whatever we're doing here right now. State law allows for the justice of the peace to have litter court and for the constables to write, you know, tickets for littering. So the ability for them to do that exists currently. Even though it's not in parish law, it is in state law. So all we've done is amend our ordinance to designate, you know, that in a more definitive type measure, so that there would be no confusion, you know, on the power of anybody, what they can and can't do. Matter of fact, I was at a birthday party Saturday, and I met with somebody at the AG's office that basically y'all call when y'all have a concern, and that I think does y'all's training, and in discussion with her, we talked about this, and I think, Lauren, did y'all ever?
She never called me back.
She never called you back. Anyway, we talked about, you know, how state law is, and that it clearly defines what y'all's duties are and what y'all can and can't do. We even talked about the ability to have a parish-wide litter court instead of each JP having to have their own if however they chose to do that. So basically, I think we've taken the ordinance that exists now, which is, what's the name of the current ordinance, 15-13? 50-13, and we've added, we scratched out a section, and then added a new part that reflects state law, and then identified the two sections of the revised statute that provide for that. I know there's some people that want to talk about it, so just come up, state your name, address, make your comments with respect to positive or negative on the litter situation in the parish and what we can do to try to address it. I know that it's a two-pronged approach.
Did you see this? This is one that they brought with them tonight. Jeff brought it, that they had worked on years ago, like in '01.
There were things in there I liked, the things I didn't like, but
Yeah.
I just give it to you to have a draft.
Okay, so we just need to look over it and,
We're
I
gonna,
mean, it might be, you might could use it as a guide to.
we're gonna,
draft what-
yeah, we can look at, we wanna expand upon it. I think what we're gonna do is try to not get overly complicated. We kinda have an ordinance on what littering is and what the fine schedule is, and that kind of stuff. I think all we're really trying to do is clarify within the ordinance
and
of
get the ball rolling.
the ability of
Time
the
make a
JPs
difference.
and the constables
Okay.
to do
The old
this.
one?
This is the old ordinance, and then basically what we're gonna do is strike E and put this new wording in and change some words. Is that basically what we're looking at? So, I guess what I wanna do is open the floor to public comment. If someone has something they wanna say, you know, I had some phone conversations with some individuals today. We talked about, you know, litter's a you know, you can't just do one aspect of it. You know, there's a lot of things. There's the information part, which, you know, the chamber's done a really great job with the Love LP thing. But enforcement is also part of it. If there's no, I've always been told you gotta keep honest people honest, and if there's no deterrent to throwing your beer can in the back of the truck and it blowing out in the wind, then a lot of people don't think about it. So we need to have both aspects of whatever you need to do to try to, make our parish a cleaner place. Look, we all know that there's certain roads that all the time stuff's getting dumped on. People are throwing their trash
That's not
out.
can blowing out.
Yeah,
That's
I
people doing
understand,
it on
but
purpose.
and I think that we have current law enforcement in the parish, but I think they don't necessarily have time to go maybe, investigate a garbage bag and see if we can get an ownership deal, and maybe our constables have that ability to, if they see a pile of trash, to see if we can figure out, who's responsible and who that party is, and maybe address, trying to clean some of this stuff up. So if there's any comment from the public, feel free to come up to the podium and make some comment and talk about the concerns you have, or whether for or against. Yes, sir.
My name's Robert Everett, Constable, Ward 1. Live at 35742 Bend Road. This litter is really a problem. I had a call about 7 weeks ago from Department of Public Works, Lewis McKnight. I went on the call, it was 71 garbage bags full. They went through it, they got me 7 names. I issued 2 tickets. It was 2 of the people they had passed. One was living in Texas, the other one was in jail here in Livingston. I did issue 2 tickets. I gave them a court date, I don't remember now, it was in September. They failed to appear. I guess they got away with it.
Well, that's something we're gonna have to look at, and I'll talk to the sheriff and see if we can get some, cooperation through the sheriff's department when we have somebody, you know, if you write somebody a ticket because a beer can blew out of his truck, we're not gonna send the sheriff.
Right.
But if they put 71 bags on our roads, the sheriff needs to go get them and haul their butt to jail
And
until they can pay their fine.
I've got the pictures on my
Yeah,
phone.
that's the kind of thing that has to stop. If they catch somebody throwing, have mattresses and appliances and beds and all kinds of couches, they have got to pay for that. That it has to stop, and we got the ability to get them to you. Okay, you got the ability to write the ticket. I'll talk to Jason and see if we can get some cooperation, because it helps him too. He has less to pick up when his crews go out. People go, oh, thank you, the sheriff's picking. Next day, it's back. Bobby Joe knows on Clinton Island. I mean, they'll send them beautiful. The road's better than it's ever looked, and then,
Yep.
you know, so we're gonna work on that part and see if we can't get the sheriff. I know they're busy, but this is also a bad offense that people are committing, and, has to stop, so. we'll
All right,
do
now,
that.
one more thing,
Okay.
it's litter. When we do evictions, I have the writ for turning possession back over to the landlord or the owner. They set the stuff out on the side of the street. I normally tell them, if they ask me how long to leave it, I give them 12 hours. If it's still there, do away with it.
Yeah.
Well, 3-4 days later, it's still sitting out there. So I think the landlords or the managers should be held responsible for.
Because they put it out there, yeah, whether it belongs to them or not.
Well,
Is that something we can look at?
I mean,
Whenever I talk, I might expand a little bit.
okay. Hey, thank you, Mr. Robert, appreciate it.
You do a great job, Mr. Robert.
Thank you.
I know you do your best.
Thank you. One of y'all want to go?
We just need to hear.
Well, my name's Jeff Saxey. I'm Justice of the Peace there in Watson, Ward 1. And I find that we're lacking maybe some teeth in the law to be able to enforce some things. And a while ago when you mentioned that you would speak to the sheriff, I'd like to make sure that, I don't want anyone to misunderstand. It's not that the sheriff did not cooperate. He wasn't even notified, probably had no knowledge of it. So I just want to
I'll let
clarify
him know.
that.
Yeah,
It's not like there was any refusal.
Sure, okay.
And in that situation, they did dispatch a deputy because the constable was having trouble with one of the people that he issued a citation to, and they sent somebody out, you know, just to back him up and that sort of. So they do help.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make
Yes,
that
we
clear.
get you. I wasn't pointing fingers at you.
Right, no, I know, but I just wanted to make sure that it didn't come
If
across like
everybody gets
that.
on the same page and we all work together, we can
Right.
clear the issue.
But I think what we have to do is coordinate things and to work out the logistics, you know, of these type issues. If someone fails to appear, you know, they can, a bench warrant can be signed, but then again, if, you know, what are we gonna do with them? You know, if that happens in district court, you know, that goes straight to jail, you know? But, you know, so, you know, the logistics needs to be
JB
worked
court's
out.
a little different, okay.
And we need to get some commitment from the sheriff on that. Also on during an eviction, after judgment's issued and then when a writ of possession is executed, the constable goes out and delivers possession to the property owner or his representative. And basically the law is somewhat vague, and it just, during an eviction, all of their personal belongings, stuff has to be set out on the side of the road. You know, that's basically how the law reads. I don't know, and there's no, you know, there are many things that there are no definitive answers to. I think that whether it's in this litter ordinance or whether it's a separate ordinance, I think that that's an issue, you know. Some of that stuff gets set out and it stays there sometimes for quite a while. I don't know what would be reasonable, but, 72 hours or so. And, people may set things out on their own, but anytime there's an eviction, we have a record of it. So I have to render a judgment, and if they appear in court, they're given a copy. If not, then the constable goes and delivers a copy. And, they know when we're gonna execute a writ of possession. I don't blindside anybody. I make Robert give them a notice that he'll be back on a certain day to put them out, And when that happens, that's when, this stuff gets set out. But my point there is that we know when one's gonna take place. So I don't have a problem notifying each landowner or each, landlord, as they do these evictions. If we get to that point, I think each justice of the peace, if it becomes law in our ordinance, that they be, informed about it. And I think that we could, since we're already doing the eviction, we could actually somewhat police it. The constable, he's going there to see it happens, and then the constable could, at that point, let them know, this has to be, remind them, it has to be cleared in a certain period of time, whatever y'all decide.
I'm gonna write you a ticket for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And, it's something they don't want to pay to have done, but it's part of doing business. It's the cost of doing business. And right now, the landlords are kind of catching a hard time
Oh, yeah.
because of some of this COVID stuff with some of the evictions. I mean, we can still do evictions, but they're somewhat limited.
So,
But,
Jeff, before you move on, so how often do you think that happens where they get evicted and then they put all the stuff out?
Well, I would say the last 6 or 7 months has been, not consistent to what I would say the norm would be.
Okay.
Most of the time people move out,
Right.
but you'd be surprised. I would say we might do maybe one a month that we have
That happens.
have to put them out. And sometimes they'll put their stuff out, not on the side of the road. We don't care where they put it, but that's where it's supposed to be put. If the landlord agrees to, hey, set it over here in the yard and let them come back and get it, we don't care.
That's fine too.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to see
Well, you
somebody
want people
lose
to have
their
their
belongings.
property, right, yeah, they're
Right.
already losing a place to live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And y'all mentioned that y'all referenced the current litter ordinance and then about making some changes. If I could, I'd like to get a copy of that if y'all have, what y'all want to add to it. But, and this may be a separate issue, and I kind of mentioned it to you, Scooter, earlier, but one thing I've had some of even where my office is, and I've had some other people complain about people that are dumping their trash and, they're doing building projects and things in the dumpsters. I don't know if maybe that might need to be covered in
So they're using
another
dumpsters that don't belong to them to
Correct.
run their
The
business
people that
out
have
of
no
the city.
authority are just
Yeah.
dumping their trash
Do you
and
have any
things in
issues with that?
dumpsters.
No, I lock mine.
I got issues with it all the time. I'd rather use mine.
I got locks on
Then it
mine.
end up on the
Because
end of
otherwise,
Flint Mountain Road,
otherwise,
But I know Moreland Cloud had asked me to
Okay,
address that.
okay.
And I did want to make one thing, y'all aware of, the constable does have parish-wide authority with this, so does the justice of the peace. And, we already have, authority, as y'all mentioned, to do this individually. I think if you want to create a litter program or litter court there are many JPs that are not going to want to cooperate and participate. They just don't do much. But there's some that will. So I don't know if it's something, if y'all should maybe consider establishing litter court.
Yeah.
And, we had talked about that before, and the AG's office came and we met with the council years ago, and it just never did take off.
Right.
But that's something that you could do, and that way you designate one justice of the peace for a period of time, and we were talking about kind of rotating.
Yeah, yeah.
And those that wanted to participate
That's
would
not
and those
bad.
that
So-
didn't.
I don't think that's,
Because there are a lot of JPs that just are not gonna be
they just
interested
wanna
in
do
this,
what.
nor are the
minimum is, and
constables.
that's it, yeah.
And a lot of the constables aren't equipped. You know, most of them they're driving their personal vehicle, with no markings, no uniform, and, you know, it may be potentially dangerous.
Yeah, I agree.
Some of those guys to try to make a stop, you know, or go
Once
knock on
Robert
somebody's
gets out of
door.
his truck, they know who he is.
He,
They
he,
can
he,
tell.
he does have
Yeah.
a uniform, he has markings on his vehicle with lights and, you know, radio that's tied into the
Right.
sheriff's office and the whole bit. So he's prepared to, you know, to do that. But,
Okay.
but, you know, some other parishes are actually, linked in some sort of way with, the Office of Motor Vehicle. And people's licenses are being suspended for these litter. And I think it actually reads that in ours, but I don't know how you would enforce, I don't know how you would, you know, how do you
How
do
would they
that?
know? Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the revised statute that basically, that gives the JP the ability to have concurrent jurisdiction over litter violations anywhere in the parish.
That's correct.
But penalties must be imposed, according to what the revised statute limits it,
That's
limits in the
correct, and I was
range.
gonna get to that too.
Yeah, and then I think also that some of this thing it talks about, we reference the distribution of fines and where they go, and, you know, the
Right.
sheriff's gonna get some, the court's gonna get some, the constable, I think it identifies that.
Well, they had two different ways, but I think that the 50% should be split between the justice of the peace and the constable's offices.
Well, no, because if you read that those are all those are all local exceptions to the rule that identify
Okay.
certain
From the
parishes.
state law.
Certain parishes
Okay.
have gone with local exceptions and they have an identity that Caddo,
St.
certain
Tammany,
thing, or
yeah.
St. Tammany, whatever.
Okay.
All we're doing is in our ordinance is mirroring what state law says with respect to how the little violations are occurred, and so I think really what we're doing here is, we have an ordinance that talks about, you know, what defines trash and what the fine schedule, what the fee schedule set forth. The only thing that we're clarifying is that we limited it because of our ordinance to the 21st JDC or any appropriate justice of the peace, and we did some clarification because we're referencing state laws that have been revised and the numbers have been changed, and we're trying to bring this in a more up-to-date manner so that there would be no misunderstanding of the ability of a you know, JP,
Right.
a constable to issue a summons, or a JP to hear the
Well, one fault or defect that the other ordinance had in it was, I remember reading that, I think it was upon second or maybe third offense, that they could be sentenced to jail up to a period of, I don't recall how long. A justice of the peace has no authority in a matter
So that needs to
where-
come out no matter what.
where someone's gonna be, now, we can send them to jail for contempt, and that's the only reason. But that cannot be part of the sentencing or the
So
fine.
where's the rest of it?
on D, get the one she just gave us. The one she just, right here, not that one, that's right there, okay.
Okay, so that's the
So,
rest
so
of it.
that's,
All we're doing is
this is the
changing E.
ordinance, this is the ordinance.
Right, and that's
So
what I
it looks
had, but I
like,
didn't-
if you read down in D,
So we need to take that out.
if you read
or-
down in D,
Yeah.
where it says driver's license suspended for 1 year or be in prison not more than 6 months for all in combination of the
That
aforementioned
needs to be
penalties,
strict.
we need to strike out the, in
Right.
prison for not more than 6 months. Y'all need to-
Unless you leave it, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What,
What if we leave it for the sheriff's office? Because if the sheriff's office.
the 21st JDC can actually do
Well, I
it?
was gonna say that's what I was gonna say, if you leave it in there for them, but I think I would put some verbiage to clarify.
That
The-
is two
Well,
separate
y'all
sections.
know, I
This
mean,
is
y'all,
JD
Because
section.
I could-
y'all know that y'all can't imprison
Right.
somebody, so
But-
it's an and/or thing, so.
But if somebody would interpret the ordinance as I could, then they might say it's defective in some way, and I don't know, I just think to
And get out
eliminate a
of-
problem.
Well, I mean, I think so, I mean, we know that there's an issue with that we probably need to send back to Chris, because Chris basically looked over this change and said grace over it, so if maybe we need to send it back to him and let him evaluate the
Yeah, I
present
think you're
thing and
right.
how that
I
deal
think
is.
you're
and
right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
and
Couple
then,
weeks,
so,
I just think that needs to be
changes,
clarified. It can be
get it
done
right.
but
easily.
we'll, thanks for noting that, so
Yeah.
we'll send that back and let him make an evaluation and then, look, I think that if we move forward, after he says it, we can address some of these other concerns you have, but I think initially, what we need to do is get the.
And I
current
think
litter-
you're right.
Get the current litter ordinance clarified.
Right.
And then that way y'all.
And then
can
work
continue-
out the bugs.
Well, y'all can continue to move forward, even though you have the ability now to write a ticket and have litter court. I think all we're trying to do is clarify it, and since you brought up a point of way that the penalty phase of our ordinance talks about jail time, and y'all can't do that.
Correct.
That we need to get Chris to give us some wording on how to address that. So we definitely need to take that under consideration.
But if you do wanna leave it in there, I would,
Just
Clarify that
section.
the Jason, yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
you, I understand.
Okay,
okay, I
Thank you.
think that's all I have, but,
all right, thanks, Joe.
Thank you, and
But-
she gave you the current ordinance and then what we're
yeah,
looking
and
at
this is the same
changing?
one I had.
Okay,
And by the way, the copy that I gave y'all,
Yeah, got
and
that.
I didn't even read over it good, it's just a copy I had from 2000.
something y'all worked on a long time ago?
Yeah, and I liked part of it, but a lot of it I didn't care for.
Well, we'll put it in our,
Yeah,
look,
but- well,
I got
since
a
we're
reading,
gonna
I
be
got a
asking
reading
for-
snack, I got a reading
Yeah.
snack, and so sometimes I get to it and sometimes I don't, so we'll.
All right.
So if we're asking Chris, and we'll table that Thursday night.
Yeah,
until-
I think that,
And
I
then,
think
because we were
until-
gonna do it Thursday night, but if we're gonna get clarification,
Okay.
we may need to move that, and if anything in here we see really makes sense.
There may be something in
Yeah.
it to get your attention.
Okay.
maybe. Well, one other, I have a question or a comment, one last thing. In the event that a citation is issued and they come to JP Court and they are found guilty and they must pay that fine, you know, they need to pay the parish.
Right, that's
So,
how it's set forth in
you
the
know,
ordinance.
and I know before when we were trying to establish this, now, this was about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. When I called up here, of course, that person is no longer here, and I'm not mentioning names, but, I tried to tell them that y'all have to have an account that we put this in, or bring it to y'all, or send it to y'all. And said, oh, no, you just keep it and y'all do it, but that's not in
Well,
accordance to
if-
law.
if-
So, you know, we would need, but those are little bugs we can work out later.
Absolutely, we get the ordinance right, and then we'll figure that
I only
out.
brought it up because last time I was told that you're crazy, you don't have to do it like that.
Well,
All right.
yeah, it clearly said that the thing is, the fine is issued to the parish and the parish makes distribution of the way that it. Somebody from the chamber or the Livingston wanna come talk about litter in
Yes.
general?
Yes, I can. April Weirs, representing the Livingston Parish Chamber of Commerce, 248 Veterans Boulevard, Denham Springs. So I can appreciate the fact that, you know, hearing y'all point of view on this, we put together, just for y'all benefit, a litter initiative that was started, and we put it as part of the Chamber's strategic plan. The problem is, y'all, everybody thinks that we're just doing this litter pickup thing. It's way more vast than that and comprehensive. And so it started in 2018, and it actually ends in 2020, where we're gonna present our findings, and figure out where we're gonna go from there, and what influence we've had, and what's the outcome. The big problem that we see, and y'all could probably all attest to that, is there's a big problem with collaboration on litter in the parish altogether. So the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, not picking on anybody, including us. This ordinance, if I wouldn't have known it, Bobby wouldn't have told me, I wouldn't even known this was happening tonight. So anything that has to do with litter, we wanna know.
Yeah.
So, and not because we think that we're the be-all, end-all, but we're trying to, you know, help in the initiative part of it. I don't know any employer or any business anywhere in the parish that would say that they were, not opposed to litter or in favor of the litter issue continuing. So one of the approaches that we've taken on it is it's not just a litter problem, it's a drainage problem. So we put on our social media channels, go to the public, what is your biggest concerns for Livingston Parish? Litter, animal control, the smell of the dump, the landfill, and drainage. So those top of those things tying in together is litter and drainage. We have a leadership application for the leadership program. What are the 2 biggest problems you see in Livingston Parish, or 3 actually? 9 out of 10, 60% of the applicants are gonna put litter and drainage as 2 of the top issues that they see as a problem in Livingston Parish. So as a business organization and the leadership end of it, the good chambers that collaborate well with all of the entities can really move the needle on things like this. And so you want to address not only business problems, but community problems, because community problems are business problems. There's a big, big problem with the morale of people who see this. So it kind of settled down. I don't know if y'all noticed through the COVID thing, everybody's kind of staying home, so they've thrown their trash out last. Got a little better, but then all of a sudden things opened up and boom, it was crazy. You know, there's all kind of things I can touch on. We have a web page set up for it. We have people that sign the litter-free LP pledge. We were trying to collaborate and make sure the signage and all that looked alike. That kind of blew up. So we've got some ideas on how to bring people together on it, and that's what we're hoping to do. I can tell you probably any ordinance that y'all wanted to put on that would improve it, we would support. So I talked to Frog earlier, we necessarily wasn't gonna, like, don't put me in the middle of it. But you know, when I walked and stepped away for a second and think about what employers care about and what businesses care about and what the residents here care about, it's to have a better quality of life, and that goes with less litter and better drainage. So there you go. I don't know if y'all want to hear anything else from us. We have close to 700 pledges on our litter-free LP pledge. We do this thing called 10 on the 10th. It's just to keep litter awareness. We did a very comprehensive report to where we went to every municipality in the parish and said, what are you doing about litter? Do you have money dedicated to litter? How much money is dedicated? Where is that money coming from? Is it coming from your general fund? I would love to know how y'all are funded on that end as well. So how are you addressing it? How are you making it better? Albany, she's got her thing going on. We do a litter initiative. She's all over it. Springfield will tell you that enforcement was the key to their community looking better. I know it's a smaller community, but when you go and you look and you drive around there, it looks great. There's one woman that goes out and picks up litter. She is the one woman show. She's out there, she's their DPW, and she's doing it all, and she does a heck of a job. But they made an example out of a couple of people. I hate to say it like that, we're not recorded, are we? But
on TV.
So, well, you know, and they said, look, you know, and not that, you know, that
It
they let
takes
some
that.
go and some didn't, but the point is that they actually saw people who were doing it. That's our big problem with us, is that we have these big litter initiatives and we have, you know, 150 people signed on to pick up trash, and everybody thinks they're, you know, doing community service for time or something like that. So anyway,
Well,
we'd love to see y'all all involved in that as well, and sitting at the table when we pull that together.
Well, you know, I started thinking about our phone conversation there when you talked about signage and you know, the keep Livingston beautiful, you know, we talked about the pine trees or whatever, and y'all had the Love LP, y'all's litter initiative. You know, we talked about, or we asked for money for signage. didn't we?
37,000.
So I'm wondering, and I don't know if it's a conflict, and I don't know how that works, but I'm wondering if there's any way we could incorporate, I don't know.
I agree.
I mean, is there any way we can
I thought of the
incorporate,
same
you know,
thing.
because y'all talked about signs, is there any way we can incorporate your litter initiative in our signs with respect to identifying the fine situation with respect to littering? So, I mean, I don't know, we're gonna ask some questions.
I mean,
based-
there's the
I mean,
Livingston
based on-
that-
Chamber, so.
The great hashtag on that is, and people use it, we have, you know, it is not as easy as y'all think to collaborate and get people are really annoyed, they want action on it, but the hashtag on that is litter-free LP. So Love LP is a big overall community initiative, because people would say, oh, you're from LP, you know, that kind of thing. And we said, great, we're gonna take something like that, turn it into positive. So there's one big initiative that's Love LP, and we actually have the logos and all that go with it. And then there's, underneath that Love LP initiative is Shop LP, Love LP, you know, all those things, and then Litter-Free LP is the one that goes under.
Hashtag litter-free LP.
So that's what you want. You want on your litter signage, you want at the very least for it to have the hashtag litter-free LP, and push that end of it.
Yeah,
And
I-
I personally love our signage because it stands out a little
Do you
bit
know what
more.
your sign looks like?
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna see,
Yeah,
we're gonna
so-
see, and I'm sure we're
I
gonna
don't
need your,
see
I'm
many.
sure we're gonna need your permission, but we're gonna research and figure out if there's some way we can incorporate your sign and our fine situation so that we can have public dollars, you know,
Yeah.
put these signs up and maybe help spread, you know, the word of your initiative and
Well, and
draw some
I
attention
got a
to it.
promise from Layton again the other day. I told him we have to do this, and, you know, Layton's worried about the whole thing, how do things look to the public? Well, this is absolutely, the people that are littering are trashy, throwing out stuff. It's not your people that, you know, you want to be, keeping the parish beautiful, because they don't care, or they wouldn't throw the stuff out. So, he agreed again, let's work with you guys, let's see if we get funding for some signs. Now, I don't know if you want a litter-free LP and a $250 fine on the bottom of it.
Well,
I don't know.
why not?
I don't know,
mean,
it depends.
If you don't have a
You
deterrent-
definitely, we have not had a chance to research that more deeply. You and I talked about this at a meeting, after one of
Ages
our
ago.
meetings about the signage a while back, exactly. And, it came up, well, the chamber was gonna pay for it, well, we're like, not only, we're like doing this, you know, whatever.
Sure.
The money
COVID-
wise,
COVID's
and
got
by
hit
the
the
way,
chamber kinda hard.
we have voted to, and we are supporting the 1 cent sales tax, and it's actually listed there, that there's litter funds that goes along with that.
Certainly is.
So, you know, we've had private business that have put up money for this initiative. Meantime, there's public money. We put up private money. We have businesses sponsoring it. We have the city of Walker who does probably, they've got 4 people full-time on staff picking up litter. I don't know if y'all know that or not. That are, working through that. They know it's an issue. They're trying to address the issue, et cetera. And they're still sponsoring and putting the stuff, you know, in, and putting funding toward it. And it's really not right for that end to take place. If there's public funds out there, especially after this whole COVID situation.
Yeah, as it settles
Blah,
down
blah, blah.
probably after the first of the year, then we'll look at our budget
But
and see.
We're gonna look at what we've got this year. I'll ask Jeff, the ordinance committee the finance committee to address what we have for litter promotion, you know, within the budget for litter control, and see if there's some way we can coordinate with y'all a public-private partnership on some of this stuff, so that you can help get the message out some more. And then the ordinance will take up, we'll send the changes you have to, you know, some of the concerns you have to Chris Moody, and let him reevaluate it. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll have some answers
Yeah,
for some of
yeah, I
this
think
stuff.
Yeah,
that's
we'd love to,
right.
we'll take some time to do, we are strong in marketing, so, you know, we've got some good partnerships on all that. I'm sure y'all do too. I don't know what your limitations are because of you're a government entity, but,
Right.
you know, we've got some
That's part of what
collaborations
I
that we
asked
can
about.
do that perhaps you can't.
And it might be that we have to do a cooperative agreement with your board, and I know you have to, but we're
Yep.
gonna do some research based on what our conversation that we had today, and,
Yep.
you know, that your ability, your struggle with finances because of COVID, and to get some things promoted, and see if we, with our money that we have allocated, you know, that the sales tax can address, and see if we can't do something to help that, and then we'll be back in touch. And it might be that the board, that y'all's board's gotta act, you know, with something to do this, to make this legal. You know,
We
there's
touched
some-
on it a
Yeah,
little
we
bit
kinda
last week
figured
with
that.
Derek Murphy. He was here and he goes, well, since I'm here, you know, we're all aboard. We wanna do this. We wanna get things, but if we can legally get it tied together.
Yeah, we would much
that'd be the way to
prefer
do it.
that. And the fact of the matter is that y'all are protected much better than what we are. So last year at the state legislature, there was an ordinance, you know, the lawmakers passed a bill that went through, and before we could stop it or get it amended, it was saying that there was protection for volunteers who were picking up if it was, or protection for the entity. And we're considered a private nonprofit, 501c6, and we were not included in that. So here we are putting people on the road and on the streets, and we're not protected. We have to go buy an additional policy, blah, blah. You know, we have to do training with all the captains. We have to, it's a very, very intense, thing to do. So those are partnerships that would matter as well. It'd probably have to happen on the administrative end. I don't know how that all comes
Yeah,
together.
But you made us aware of a struggle y'all have, and something you can need, so we're gonna see if we can kind of respond to that. Cause I know Bobby Joe and them and Watson have always have that annual or biannual, you know, biannual garbage pickup thing. And look, I've been on the trailer wearing the orange thing, you know, watching the kids or whatever, and, you know, we limit it to certain roads. I mean, there's some roads that are just too dangerous to put those young people on, but, you know, we've done that twice annually in Watson, and, you know, and so, you know, we know that there's areas throughout the parish that need, you know, attention, and so I think we're all in support of trying to help
Yeah,
resolve
so
some of
let's
those
work
issues.
it out, get the ordinance right, so that we can do things.
And we go full parish too. I mean, you
Oh.
mentioned that, we have some areas, we actually pay for law enforcement to watch out for our people who are picking up. So we don't, and we pay for vests, we have I mean, we wanted to make sure that people who were involved in that, and look, we know that you're never gonna pick your way up out of litter. I can tell you, everybody who thinks litter's a problem does not think it's their problem or their action that needs to take place. They really do think, in my opinion, from what we've been doing the past few years, is that government should be using taxpayer dollars to handle that issue.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know what that looks
Then
like.
you add a
for
tax
everybody,
to it
but-
and
but
they
the
go,
problem is they don't,
no.
we're overtaxed, so
Yeah.
We
there's a-
get it,
there's
no,
a
I get
conflict.
it all, and look, we support y'all on that too, we try, the leadership program is all about, we teach people this is how it really works, that kind of thing, we're putting a little army of people out there for
Y'all
that.
coming, when are y'all coming here when?
I think October 20th, it's the third Tuesday of the
Right.
month.
I got you.
I had a little issue, a little glitch, we're trying to get one, thing settled down, that's when, we'll let y'all know for sure, but I think y'all are on the agenda.
It's the morning.
gotta change
No,
the light.
they do one of the deals, they come,
No, you know what I would really
I'm all
like
for
is,
preventing litter in any way we can. I'm trying to figure out how, you know, I mean,
Yeah, start at home.
it's an interdependent thing. It's just like when the floods came through or whatever. You can't just have schools up and running, you have to have businesses up and running, this up and running. It's all, the community is interdependent. And so if you don't look at it from all different aspects and angles, you can write ordinances all day. If somebody's not enforcing them, you know.
and so Shane, that was one of the open statements we talked about is that the education, the promotion, and then the enforcement behind it, so that, you know, everybody's gotta, look, let's face it, a lot of people don't do what they don't do because they're gonna get in trouble. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, speed limit's 70. Why do you drive 70? Because if you drive 75, you're probably gonna get a ticket. Otherwise, you know, if you know there's no ability to, there's no consequences for your actions, the sign is just a sign. So, I mean, that's just human nature, and so, you know, that's why everything's gotta work
That they
together.
gotta pay, they'll go, I'm not doing that.
So I'm writing down here, signage and ordinance is the next couple of steps that we're gonna look at
I
coordinating
think
on
that we need to, this ordinance needs to have Chris look at that one part about the jail time and figure out how to clarify that. We're gonna talk to finance and figure out if there's some way that we can work together, get a cooperative or whatever, that Layton's committed to Scooter to put some signs out. We're gonna figure out if there's some way we can incorporate y'all's program that y'all got going
And get
into
a
our signs.
Parish-wide logo
To
on it.
promote, I mean, y'all are doing the promotion already, see if we can
Hi.
draw people's
You
attention
just
to
look
y'all.
and see what people like. I mean, we could put it on social and nah, never mind. I was gonna say,
Well, I'm just saying that,
never mind.
let's figure out what we can and can't do first.
And then we
And
can
then
go
we
forward.
can, then we can ask y'all to do some research and figure out what y'all think the best idea, but let's clarify first what we can and can't do with, you know, public dollars in helping y'all get y'all's message across and getting our message across on the same sign.
Yeah, the message is collaboration. If you're
Right.
saying, and all these guys are signing on, and y'all are signing on, and everybody's in it, and you know, you gotta talk the talk, and you really do have to walk the walk too.
Yeah.
And, anyway, there's all that good stuff, so keep in touch. We think that another big problem is there's a lot of things that are happening that other people don't know about, so we're trying to address that. When we come to y'all with that, and we hope that y'all are able to participate.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate
appreciate it,
it.
Ms. April, thank you. Well, come on up, say what.
Oh, you got something too?
You wanna come first?
Come on, Ms. Robert, what you got?
Well, as far as the litter pickup in Watson, I've traffic controlled for Mr. Beverly Timms 3 different occasions.
Right.
Now, for the future, I write these citations. What number am I gonna, the same as I've been, or?
I mean, as it exists right now, continue along like you've been doing. And then we're gonna get this ordinance in place, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna do. Cause are you currently, Jeff, are y'all currently having litter court, or is everything going to 21st JDC right now?
Robert kinda held off, because it tends to be an issue or a problem.
So I think that we'll get Chris to.
Robert's had the desire, and so have I, for quite some time.
So basically, right now, you're sending your ticket to the 21st JDC.
No, they're hell. They're still in my truck.
Okay. Well, let's figure out on this thing, and then I'll ask Chris and or Jennifer how we, if the parish is supposed to collect this and distribute the money back, we've got to get that logistic thing worked out. You know what I'm talking about? So give us some time to get some questions answered. And so as soon as we get those done, we'll address, but we're gonna send this to Chris and talk about that one line on jail, and then we need to reach out to the finance department, Lauren, or we need to reach out to Jennifer's office and say, if we undertake, when state law allows for this to happen, except the parish supposed to collect the fine and do redistribution, how are we gonna go, does she have the ability to do that? If not, she needs to look at state law and be sure that she's able to do that. I don't think we don't wanna address that account. They've got the ability to do accounting. They need to continue doing accounting and making deposits and all that.
Obviously, they can, because the state law says that has to be done.
We just need to make her aware.
Logistically, if we can work it out.
We just need to make her aware of what we're moving so she can be prepared on how to address that.
But I think more importantly is to logistically work out things with all the other entities that we have.
I got you.
Sheriff and everybody.
I got you. Okey doke. Come on,
Do
Bobby
I
Jim.
need to introduce myself again?
No, you good. We
Okay,
got
good,
you
okay.
already on the record.
I just have a question or two. First, y'all know how hard I work for my community.
Right.
I love Watson, but I have extended it to the whole parish now. And every morning I drive down Cane Market Road and I wanna cry. Every morning I wanna cry. It is terrible. And y'all know, it's like this all over the parish. And we were not able to have another, trash bash this past year and, litter-free LP also because of COVID. Now I hope in the near future, we get to do this. My biggest question is, the first step that we have is to get our parish cleaned up and the highways. And I wanna know why, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but I wanna know why our incarcerated people cannot help with this problem. They help all over the country.
They absolutely.
They do.
Actually, the
They
sheriff's
do.
got a van and some trailers, and they actually do. And I mean, I've seen them in Watson.
Well, yeah, they help us. They do help us when we have our trash bags.
They
They do it on a daily basis
They do it,
somewhere.
they do it all the time.
They can't keep up.
They market.
Well, then we'll make a call. We need to make a call and
Is he
request.
able to pick up on the state highways?
They picked up 1019 before for us.
Okay.
So
Yeah, they keep 1019.
They've been doing
You know, and I
that,
call him and he sends them to my area and somebody else calls and they send them to that
Okay.
area, but everybody's got the issue, so they,
And I kind of thought that probably COVID had it quiet down.
No, I don't-
I saw him the other day on Clinton.
Okay.
so we'll
You're at the other end.
we'll follow
Yeah,
up
I
on
just,
that.
it just hurt, and I'm all about the campaign, cause I think that education is probably, and we should probably try to get it into our school system and start these children long. And I will also tell you this, because I literally count it. My neighbor and I take care of a strip of our road. 99.2% of what I filled a black garbage bag with was alcohol related.
Mm-hmm.
So that means they're going to stop at this, so that means they're driving around drinking in the parish also.
Too, yeah.
So I'm just
And
behind
husband
this.
and husbands or someone to dispose of it before they get home, or kids, they can't go home. So they throw it out
That's
the
what
window.
my husband
That's
said.
exactly what it is.
I honestly was
We
gonna.
gotta start at home, teaching people. You gotta teach your kids,
Yeah.
don't throw stuff out. If you're doing something wrong, you're doing something wrong,
Yeah.
period.
Well, I gripe to Gary and Scooter all the time, so I'm not gonna sit here and do it again. But I am 100% in this project and working with, Donna helps me now in Watson, and she's part of the chamber
I'm working with Miss April, so I'm ready to
We
get
at
it
nine,
on.
so-
You know, that's one of the biggest things that we recognize, is that people would say, why isn't the sheriff's department out there, why aren't the trustees? So we brought them in, and we said, are y'all out there? Yeah, we out there, you know, we're constantly out there, we're just doing what we can. Same thing, people say, well, where's the education, we need to educate people. So, you know, we did light a fire under some people, and so Keep Livingston Beautiful partnered out. We were gonna take it on, and we were actually gonna be the Keep Louisiana Beautiful entity in Livingston Parish, because there wasn't an active one here. So, you know, we kinda lit a fire under that, and they went and they said, no.
What
no.
happened to, there was one?
Is
There
that,
was one, and then it expired.
is
and
that the
then
one
there-
that comes through the lieutenant governor's office? Cause I talked to Billy Nungesser one time about it too, and he said, look, I can send you ladies to show everybody
Yes.
what you have to do, and
So there was, what I'm trying to say is that there's a partnership, and you have to act as an entity under Keep Louisiana Beautiful.
Right.
And there was no action and no activity for a long
Okay.
time from Livingston Parish. And so this is part of why we got, look, we weren't trying to usurp anybody or take their esteem or take
Right.
their credit or any of those things. We were just trying to make stuff happen.
Right.
We're business people, we make stuff happen. And so, we were gonna take that charter or whatever, and they went and they called Keep Livingston, so they could Keep Livingston, no, we want it. Well, great, so take it, and so they actually do provide the curriculum and the materials and teachers, they teach the teachers, and they present it in school. Now, who knows where that's going after
right now,
it
yeah,
gets past
I
that.
get you.
But there is education, the sheriff's office
Something to
is
look
picking
into
up,
there, too.
there's action.
Well, I was involved with.
Lauren, can you
the
check
anti-litter
with the
committee.
lieutenant governor's office, and see what their anti-litter program is at this time?
Well,
And what they are pledging to do for individual parishes.
Okay.
All right?
Any other comment?
My daughter-in-law is having a baby any minute. My first girl baby grandchild, so,
Second grandchild
second
first.
grandchild in 2 months.
You wanna make a motion to adjourn?
But I didn't know.
we got whole court, y'all know what you do.
I think we're working on it.
Okay, so you have a separate office?
We got a motion from Shane, got a second from Scooter, no objection.